All right, first impressions.
weren't great. On the one hand, technologically, even though they mostly showed screens, just slide screens, really, with all their innovations and the like, their all their additions to what they're doing. I'm sure their AI is very capable. I don't know that, but I'm given the outcomes and results that they're presenting, which are unfortunately just static. I don't doubt it. I like very much the integration of Joule with now. I just think that's important, And again, I don't know how well that integration works or anything like that. I am happy for their partnership with Adobe as much as it was passed over. I think on the whole, however, they blew a lot there. The lack of conversation whatsoever about CX or CRM or even sales was actually an absurdity, and they gave it lip service. They said the word sales twice and customer experience was written twice, and that was it. They clearly have zero commitment to it, which basically, from my standpoint, kind of writes them off altogether because I'm not an ERP guy. The whole 2 hours was other than a little teeny bit at the very end with the golf play, it was missing a right brain, the whole thing. There was no emotional content given the nature of a keynote, nature of a conference, and they had a lot of customers, but the customers were talking about derived, revenue or efficiencies of one kind or another. Nothing about social good at all, nothing about philanthropic or social good. They mentioned the word sustainability in the beginning, and he mentioned, abstractly macroeconomic conditions, but that was about it when it came to anything beyond the technology that was there. They claim to be end to end without talking about CRM, CX, or customer engagement technologies that they offer. They're not an end to end platform, nor are they an end to end ecosystem. Maybe they have it, but there's no evidence. If I'm grading it, I give it a D, C minus maybe. I pointed out my biases in the very beginning, and I have them. And there's no question. And you don't treat people badly and expect them to not be bothered. I was. That said, I was literally trying to make sure that that wasn't interfering with this. And unfortunately, it might sound like it is, but it isn't. This was not a success in anything fundamental, at least in the part of the world that we're in.
So this is like the biggest opportunity throughout the year to get people's attention. We're looking at these keynotes through the lens of opportunity and the lens of where does CX fit into your story. All right, so given all that, there really wasn't much.
No, and they claim the problem is they claim it is in their story, and they literally showed nothing to prove that claim.
No,
Nothing.
technical capabilities are as well as any of the big 5 or 6 from just the sheer technical. I do not doubt that the stuff that they addressed, they can do. We're just giving them the pass on that because, like you said, the demos were very scripted and just really screenshots and stuff like that. Well, the one demo was really good.
Yeah.
I forget the young lady's name. She did a really good job. But CX and CRM are, I guess, combined are the two biggest buying enterprise buy in terms of software. You would think it would be a little bit more of importance, but as we said, they mentioned it just kind of in passing. I can't get by the fact that a lot of the leadership at ServiceNow actually came from SAP. So SAP had the kind of people that we know can move the needle and build a tremendously successful CRM CX business. But yet and still, they weren't able to do that when they're at SAP. Now they're at ServiceNow. They are. It feels like something did not allow them to do all the things that they're able to do at ServiceNow. And it feels like the way that the lack of focus on CX really did show through in this keynote. So I can't help but think it's just a secondary thing for them. And it was kind of treated like that. And that's the overarching theme. They showed a lot. They were right about the Jewel Walk Me combination. I think there's some great technical opportunities or capabilities, but in the context of CX, who knows what that means, because they didn't really talk about it. The technical production was great. It really, everything came off without a hitch. There's no show craft. All the customers that came on, what I'm used to now is seeing those little video vignettes that really get to the core of what a customer is for them and what the company is about the customer. And then you're able to go into the conversation. We didn't have any of that. We missed some of the really, I think, post-COVID components that you really should have. You didn't have like a pre-show. You didn't have like that build up, the anticipation to get you to the opening. Matter of fact, it kind of opened almost sort of like we're in the middle of the show, you know?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things, and I'll do the caveat. I don't have a working relationship with SAP at the moment. I don't feel like I've been dissed or anything. It's a lot of the people that we knew and were capable, and we've seen them be capable of other places now, they're not there anymore. So, but I did want to point that out just to say all the things that we're talking about. I don't know, take it for what it's worth. If you feel like we're jaded or they're talking because there is no connection, I just wanted to put that out there. Judge everything you say with whatever grains of salt you'd like.
I will tell you this: when you're watching what we're watching, obviously there's going to be some coloration based on lack of relationship or bad relationship, but what you see, you see. Also, what you don't see that you're expecting to see, you don't see.
ServiceNow calls themselves, their messaging is about being a CRM company.
Yeah.
You ain't getting that message over here.
Oracle really doesn't purely message as a CRM company, but they message with CRM and CX as a really important component of their end-to-end capability.
Right.
And, you know, in Oracle, because they got the hardware and the software, are probably the only ones who can make the actual end-to-end claim. SAP can't even make that claim now, not until they show some CRM CX consideration. Microsoft understands that, look, Dynamics is never going to be a giant revenue producing part of their business, even though, as I said, for every other company on the planet, it's a giant revenue producing business by itself, but not for them. Business apps for them is a necessary part of their overall ecosystem and a necessary part of their platform. Regardless of how much revenue it makes, they're not going to get rid of it because without it, they're incomplete. SAP does not get that. They're doing some smart things like the WalkMe acquisition to use WalkMe for its ubiquity, you know, but
and the perplexity part, right? Like that, those were the two really kind of high notes.
Yeah. And Adobe may have been a high point, but we have no idea. They just announced it and walked away from it.
Yeah.
Perplexity thing and the idea that you can pretty much use that, you know, as a result of that, you can be able to use SAP for anything, internal or external, is fantastic. The WalkMe ubiquity is incredible because it also means you can pretty much use SAP for anything from anywhere.
The opportunity for SAP to really be a significant player in the CX space, which would then make the end-to-end way more end-to-end. I think, you know, it's the opportunity is there in the carrot to be a player is there, because the better each of those components are, including CRM CX, the more complete your end-to-end can be. And so you would think that would be incentive enough to really beef it up, and also not showcase it in the biggest opportunity of the year to talk to the biggest audience of the year. It was barely mentioned.